What's up, everybody? My name is Brad and welcome back to the channel. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Today we're back to talk about more books that I have not read yet. Last week I did a popular Stephen King books that I had not read yet video. And I've seen these other videos going around about why I haven't read these horror books, these sci-fi books, these fantasy books. So I thought it would be fun to talk about more books that I have yet to read. Probably on my shelves, I probably own more books that are unread versus books that I have read. So this video, I only picked about like 14 books here. This could have been like an hour-long video. We could have gone on for a really long time, but I just grabbed a few that I've had for a while, or ones that I really wanted to read when I got them, and for whatever reason, why haven't I read these books yet? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. If you can answer that question, you can probably also easily answer what is the meaning of life, because it's probably just as hard of a question for both of those. But we'll go ahead and get right into it. So these are all books that have been sitting on my shelves. I haven't read them yet. I don't know why. First up is Mama by Ruby Jean Jensen. And not only have I not read this book, but I have not read anything by Ruby Jean Jensen. She was a pretty popular horror author back in the, I guess, 70s or 80s or 90s or so. It looks like this came out in 83. I think this is a Zebra book. Yeah, Zebra horror. I've heard her name floating around a lot for, old school paperbacks, but I have yet to read anything by her. I'm guessing this is a creepy doll story is what it looks like here, and it's actually peeking on the cover or on the back there at you. So yeah, this is one I haven't read. Mama, it says, she looked so real she could take your breath away. That's kind of creepy. But yeah, Ruby Jean Jensen, and this one specifically, Mama, I have not read yet. Why haven't I read it? I have no idea. Next up is Anne Rice's Interview with a Vampire. I've actually, another author I have not read anything by. I have a lot of books by her. I probably have like 10 or so of her books, and I have yet to read any of them. I've got quite a few in the Interview with the Vampire series. I have the first book in her Witching Hour series as well, but Interview with the Vampire, as much as I love vampires, and I know there's a new, I think it's a TV show coming out, Interview with the Vampire, this is one I have yet to read. I don't know. I don't know if I'll enjoy this one, because I think it leans more towards the romanticized kind of vampires, and that's not really my shtick. I like the more violent, brutal, animalistic vampires, but I might love it. Who knows? I definitely want to try and read it before the show comes out, because the show, they dropped the trailer for it at Comic-Con and actually looked pretty good. But Interview with the Vampire, Anne Rice, why haven't I read it? No clue. No earthly idea. And I've owned that one for quite a long time. Another vampire book, this is Necroscope by Brian Lumley. This has I think this is called a step back cover. Another cover in there. That's a really cool piece of art too. I like that. It almost looks kind of like a ghost vampire. Just kind of transparent see-through down here at the bottom. But anyway, Necroscope. This is a long series. I've heard that it is espionage horror, which I really love. I've heard it's about vampires, which I love vampires. James, my buddy James Fetcho, he's always down in the comments, has been telling me to read this forever. He says it's better than the Dresden Files. So if he's making that comparison, I'm assuming there's some sort of magic or something involved in it as well. I don't know for sure, but I love the cover on here. The cover is amazing. It's got vampires in it. It's espionage horror, which I really want to read more of. So this is one I need to read, and why it's been sitting on my shelf forever, who knows? I don't know. I think there's a lot of books in this series. This says this is book one of a trilogy, but I think it's more than that. I think he wrote a lot more after that. There might be 8 or 9 books in this series, but it sounds awesome. I definitely need to get to it soon. Another one, Swan Song by Robert McCammon. Another book I have not read. A lot of people compare this to The Stand, which if you watch my Stephen King video, I have not finished that one yet. I started it and stopped it because I was listening to it on audiobook. The audiobook expired. But I have read, I think, only 2 Robert McCammon books. I've read Boy's Life and The Listener, and I absolutely loved both of them. I really want to read more Robert McCammon. I have 1 or 2 of his other books. I've got Mine and Gone South and this one. And I've heard this is absolutely amazing, that this is maybe one of his best books, up there with Boy's Life. It's a big chunker of a book. It's almost 1,000 pages. It's post-apocalyptic. And other than that, I don't really know much about it. If it's if it is nuclear fallout, or if it's a virus, or whatever it is for this one. Looks like nuclear war. America ravaged by nuclear war in this one. So a bit different than The Stand. Stand is a virus. This is war. But again, one that I've heard just absolutely amazing things about some people's favorite book of all time. And it's been sitting on my shelf for a couple years. I don't know why I have not read that one. Next up, Hellhouse by Richard Matheson. I just recently read Richard Matheson for the first time. I read I Am Legend, and I enjoyed it for the most part. It was pretty good. It was a lot shorter than I was expecting. It's a big, thick paperback, and it's only like a quarter of the size. It's got a bunch of other short stories in there. This one is a haunted house story, and Stephen King says on the back, says it's the scariest haunted house novel ever written. I don't know. Is that true? I can't say if it's true. I don't know. I haven't read the book yet. But it's got this Grim Reaper looking dude here on the cover, which looks cool. And I do like a good haunted house story. I feel like a lot of haunted house stories sort of are repetitive. They kind of feel the same. So one that is original and different would be something I'd be very much interested in reading. And this looks almost like a government building, like the Capitol we have here, the governor's mansion stuff. It almost doesn't even look like a house. It's got those big pillars and stuff on there. The Hellhouse by Richard Matheson. Haven't read that one yet either. This one, The Lesser Dead by Christopher Buehlman, another vampire book. And as much as I love vampires, why is this one still sitting on the shelf? I have no idea. I think Sadie Hartman, Mother Horror, read this one fairly recently, and she really loved it. Had lots of good things to say about it. Looks like this takes place in New York in 1978, which I love New York City. I'm a big Yankees fan, so it being set in New York and about vampires, definitely one I should have read already, but I haven't read. I don't know why. I haven't read any Christopher Buehlman. I've got his other book, Those Across the River, something like that. I think that's his werewolf novel, but he's definitely an author I've been meaning to check out for a while. And again, why haven't I read that? I don't know. I don't know anything. This one is The Passage by Justin Cronin. Is that how you say his name? Justin Cronin. I think this one's also kind of vampires. I don't know if it's straight up vampires or vampire-ish in a way. Maybe it's like a parasitic vampiric disease going around. I don't really know. This is book one in a trilogy, and it's got this stupid made-for-motion picture TV show sticker that's printed on the cover, which I hate when they do that. Yeah, this is book one. Book number two is called The 12. Book three is The City of Mirrors. But I've heard this is a really fun, great horror trilogy. Again, I think it's about vampires. I've got a lot of vampires on this stack. For as much as I love vampires, I haven't read those books yet. I need to get to that. Now, this is The Passage by Justin Cronin. Can one girl save humanity? I don't know if she can, because I haven't read the book yet. This one I picked up fairly recently at I think at my library sale was going on. This is Night Film by Marisha Pessel. This one looks like almost true crime-ish in a way, because it's got like photographs in here, and like notes, and looks like evidence and stuff like that. I've heard this is an amazing book. I think E. Edward Warren, this is one of his favorite books he's ever read. Same with Kevin Well-Read Beard. They both really love this book. I think it's about like this weird movie director. He's sort of a recluse. He doesn't really do interviews or anything. He just makes these weird movies. And then I think he dies or his daughter is murdered, something like that. And there's an investigation going on. Maybe snuff films involved with Night Film and stuff like that. I don't really know for sure. But I'm really curious about it because it's got like all this true crime stuff in here, like the pictures and evidence and stuff, and journal entries and maps and stuff. So I'm really curious about this one. And I need to read it. Why haven't I read it? It's a great question. I don't know. Next up, this is Inspection by Josh Mallerman. I've only read one Mallerman. I've read Bird Box, which probably everyone who's read any Mallerman has probably read Bird Box first. I quite enjoyed Bird Box. I think I liked the book more than the movie. I don't remember for sure, but I think I liked the book more. And I think this one is dealing with like kids in like this sort of institute, this school, then the kids have special abilities. I might be completely wrong on that. I don't know for sure. Jay's a student at a school deep in a forest far away from the rest of the world. And it sort of reminds me of The Institute by Stephen King or Stranger Things, where these kids have these abilities and they're sort of locked away in this facility, this school, this institute. I mean, if that's the case, I really like those stories. I love Stranger Things. I really enjoy The Institute by King. So this is along those same lines. It's one I think I would really enjoy. I need to read more Mallerman. I've got his newest book, I think it's called Daphne, on Kindle I need to read. And his one before that, Cape and a Ghoul, or Ghoul and a Cape, sounds cool. and I really want to read his pig book, Pearl, I think it's called. But yeah, wanting to read more Mallerman. Why I haven't read that one? Good guess. I don't know. Next up is Hannibal by Thomas Harris. I love the Hannibal series. Red Dragon is probably my favorite in that series. It was absolutely amazing. I love the sort of investigation aspects and trying to figure out who these other serial killers are. I love stuff like that with Will Graham and everything. I don't think Will Graham is in this one. This is Clarice, right? From the movie. So yeah, Clarice, I think, is still in this one from Silence of the Lambs. And I love the series, so why haven't I read this? This is the only one I have not read yet. I've enjoyed Hannibal. Hannibal Rising was okay. That's my least favorite, but I enjoyed Red Dragon, Silence of the Lambs, and I need to get to Hannibal. I've got the nice big hardcover on here. I love all the movies in this series. I love all the books. So why haven't I read this one yet? I don't know. I don't know why. And this one, not too long, about 500 pages or so. I'm curious how close it is to the movie, because I really enjoyed the movie with that. So this next one it's sort of a cheat, and this is the complete fiction of H.P. Lovecraft. I have read maybe 3 or 4 H.P. Lovecraft stories, but none of them are his big popular ones. And I don't even remember what they were called. I feel like one was called like The Tomb or The Graveyard maybe, and then there was one called like White Sails. I don't really remember what they're called. Yeah, The Tomb is in here. I think there was one, The White Ship is one I've read, and there was like 1 or 2 more, but none of the big ones. I have not read Call of Cthulhu. I've not read Color Out of Space, Mountains of Madness. You know, any of the, was it Horror at Red Hook? I think it's called. None of the big, famous, popular ones that everyone talks about. I haven't read any of those. And I've got this giant book, supposedly that is the complete fiction of H.P. Lovecraft, so everything he ever wrote in here, and I have not read any of it, except for like 1 or 2, 3 or 4 of the smaller stories that no one else has ever heard of if you're not an H.P. Lovecraft fan. So why haven't I read these big popular books? I know H.P. Lovecraft, he's sort of a controversial character. He's a bit racist in his time, but he influenced so many people. You know, he created this mythos, and it influenced so many other writers. So many other writers took inspiration from him. So I want to read the source material, even though him himself wasn't the greatest of people. I still want to read his work. So why haven't I read Call of Cthulhu and all this stuff? I really want to read Shadow over Innsmouth, but get to it one day maybe. Next up, I've had this one for basically as long as I had my channel. This was like one of the first book hauls I ever did on the channel. This is Kin by Keelan Patrick Burke. He's another author I have not read anything by. He's got quite a lot of stuff. I might get to this one soon for certain reasons. You know, paper cuts maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I think this one's kind of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre in a way. Like where a girl stumbles upon this weird family and they kind of take her in, they kidnap her and stuff. Looks like it takes place in Alabama. She's wounded, naked, cannibalistic family of lunatics. So yeah, definitely sounds a bit like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think this is probably one of Keelan Patrick Burke's most popular one. This one or Sour Candy, which I think is being turned into a movie maybe. But yeah, I've had this one for, going on 3 years or so since I started the channel almost, and have not read that one yet. So we got 2 more books left. This next one, this isn't necessarily straight up horror. I think it's more sort of crime, but I'm lumping it in because she is a horror author. And this is Children of Chicago by Sina Pelayo. And I've been dying to get to this one. I got it. I think I got it for my birthday one year. Maybe last year. Maybe it was Christmas. I don't remember for sure. But as soon as I got it, I was like, I need to read this. And it's been sitting on my shelf since. I don't know. I like the pink and purple on the inside and like the baby blue book. It's a really pretty book. But this one, like I said, it's more sort of crime, I think. I think it's a modern day retelling of the Pied Piper fairy tale, all set in Chicago. And I think they're murdering children in here, which is a horrible thing in real life, but it's a fun thing to read about in a weird kind of way. I don't know what that says about me. That might set off the danger lights or whatever. But I've heard amazing things about this. I've only read Sina's poetry collection, Into the Forest and all the way through, which was true crime poetry. And it was absolutely amazing and gut-wrenching at the same time. But that's off on another tangent. I won't go into that. But it was amazing poetry. If you're looking for poetry, definitely check that one out. But I've heard great things about this one. I've heard it details a lot of Chicago itself with a bunch of facts and sort of history and stuff, which I'm into. I love history. So the history of Chicago mixed with this fairy tale and this murder, this crime investigation. This is just screaming for me to read it, and yet sadly I have not read it yet. And then the final book on here, this is one I purchased from the author themselves because the book, I'll go ahead and show it. This is Fear by Ronald Kelly. So this book was going out of print. The publisher was closing shop, so it was going out of print. Ronald had a couple copies left. I don't know how many, but he was selling them on Twitter, probably Facebook and everything. And I bought a signed copy from him. If you buy anything from Ronald Kelly directly, he will like draw pictures in it and sign it and everything. So he drew like the lizard or the monster, whatever it is, on the cover in here. He signed it for me, which is awesome. But I've heard this is just as good. Excuse me. I've heard this is good, just as good as Stephen King's It. It's sort of in the same class as that, but for some reason it was just sort of not. It did not gain the popularity as Stephen King's It did. It came out in the 80s, I think, probably from Zebra paperbacks back in the day. But it's sort of getting a resurgence. People are rediscovering it and discovering how amazing this book is. Again, Well-Read Beard, he read it and said it was one of his favorite books he'd read in a long time. It's a small town coming of age. It takes place in 1964 in Tennessee, and there's this unspeakable horror, this creature of unspeakable horror running amok in that town. It's sort of, if you've read Ronald Kelly's newest Western, and I can't remember what it's called, The Saga of Deadeye, I think. There's a little Easter egg in that harkens back to this, Fear County, which was really cool. So I really want to read this one. This is Fear by Ronald Kelly. And that's it. Those are all the books about why do I own these and why haven't I read these yet? Why have they been sitting collecting dust on my shelf? I have no idea. I don't know. I can't answer that for you. But if you've read any of these books, and if James, if you're watching, I know you're going to say, read Necroscope. I'm going to read it soon. I'm going to try to read it in October. But if you've read any of these books and really enjoy them, which one of these should I prioritize? Should I read first above all the other ones? And then what are some horror books that you own or sitting on your shelves that you have not read yet? Why haven't you read them either? But that's all I have for you guys today. So if you enjoyed the video, please consider hitting like, subscribing, and sharing. That'll help the channel grow. But that's all I have for you guys today. So thank you for spending your time with me. Again, my name is Brad, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.